In today's video, I want to show you some of the lubes that I use to maintain my BMC Timemachine Road 1. I thought that it might be a good time to do that now, especially since the coronavirus is going around and going outside is probably not a very good option for many of us. So I thought I would make a video on the lubes that I use to maintain my bike. I want to talk to you about the usage and the application for this product made by Park Tool known as PPL-1. It's a type of lube. I like to use it with the grease gun. This right here is the grease canister and the injector, but I don't usually use the canister. I primarily just use the injector. And I just take off the lid like so, cut off the end, which I've already done, and then I screw it directly onto the injector. That way I can just apply it directly onto the surfaces that I need. So that's what it looks like. The other product is the SAC-2. These are products that I use in maintaining my bike. So as you can see here, I've already removed my wheel, my front wheel, and I'll show you how I put grease on my headset as well as the part of the forks. Because of the internal routing of the BMC Timemachine Road 1, you have to get down here to the bottom to make sure that you remove the screws and the covers, so that way you can open it up. So here, you gotta just remove the screws, take that out. Make sure you don't lose the screws because they're tiny and they're small. Take them out from both sides. So now that I've removed the screws, you simply remove this plate out, and this is what it looks like. So let me go ahead and loosen this up. So if you look here, you see there's a spacer here and a spacer right there. When you go pull it out, you need to make sure you don't lose these spacers and keep them in a nice safe place. You pull it up. That you don't lose these spacers right here. Then I can slowly go ahead and pull out the spacers. As you can see here, I'm lifting up the spacers. There we go. So now I've exposed the bearing itself, and I can go ahead and lube that up. I'm going to pull the fork down as well. I don't completely take it out, I just pull it out so I can access it and grease it. There it is. And there's the bearing. So I'm just going to take an old rag and wipe it as clean as I can. Get this bearing as clean as possible, so that way when I apply the new grease, it's going to be clean. Wipe the insides as well. So if you wonder how they internally route that, the cable, the brakes, so this is the underside of the bike, you can see, and there's the brake cable, the hydraulic lines that come from the top up there, inside this tube, into the fork itself, and eventually down right there. Cable housing right here. Now that I've had the surface all wiped up from the old grease, I'm going to go ahead and apply the PPL lube, and I'm just going to put a light coat. Doesn't take a lot, just takes a little bit, and go all around the bearing. That's it. I'll put a little bit on the underside as well, just to make sure there's enough. But you don't need a lot of grease. Okay, and that will do it. Just do the same thing and apply it to the inner sides of the frame here. Put a little bit here and on the inside. Don't forget to apply bearing on the cap itself as well. So I'm going to take this bearing, place it in there, and make sure I put a little bit of grease on the cap of the bearing itself. It's a little bit tricky because you've got all the cables in here also. And that should do it. Once you got that in place, put the cap back in. Okay, the cap is in place. Make sure that you have the spacers turned the right way. This goes like this, and this one points forward to the front of the bike. Now I'm going to push my fork through and make sure that I have all my cables in the right place. Oh, that's the problem. So the problem is making sure that you put these cables in front of that lip. If you don't, you're going to have a little trouble. So let me pull that back out. Put that cable through the front of that lip. Stick it back in place. Then this cover, make sure you cover it up. Put it on next. Make sure you align this pin down to the bottom so it goes to the front. And make sure that the cables are in front of the lip here. I don't know if you can see that, but it has to be in the front. Otherwise, it's not going to sit properly. Push the bottom fork through, slide it in place, and take the stem on through. And there you have it. So once you get the fork all the way through, push it all the way up in place, then take your spacers. You've got 2 spacers. Put it side by side. It goes down in there. Make sure you don't lose these spacers. It goes right in there, right between the fork head. And that's ready to go. Once you have that in place, put your cap back in, screw it back in place. You'll just have to retighten everything back up, and that way things don't fall out. So let me put that, and we'll put the cover back on. Get it in the right place, and also then your head bolt. Make sure that's nice and snug. Not too tight though, just follow the instructions. Put this cover back in place, and it just keeps things tidy. Make sure you put it in the right direction. Like it goes like this. So stick the back end first in place, then the front goes in. Then you take the screws and screw it back in place. Just nice and snug. It doesn't have to be super tight. So now I'm going to go ahead and put a little bit of this SAC-2 onto my saddle post right here to keep it from slipping, give it a little bit of extra grip down in there. But before I do that, I want to make sure that I have my saddle height at exactly the same place. So I'm just going to put a mark back here with my Sharpie pen. So when I take it out, I can put it back in the exact same position that I had it in before. So then here, take my bolt, loosen it up, slowly take it out. Okay. There it is. Pull that all out. Wipe off some of the excess paste that was on there before. Just clean it up. Just going to apply a little bit of this. Squeeze a little bit out. Don't need that much. I'm just going to go ahead and spread it around with my finger all the way around the seat post. A little bit of a rubber gasket. Give it a nice good clean on the inside. Gasket and lift it up high up here. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up, share it with other people, and leave a comment below. Until next time, cheers.